Hello, this is Steve, your YouTube English teacher. Today we are doing C1 listening part 3, probably the most difficult part of the listening. So we're going to really think about how we answer these type of questions, the level that's expected, and how we really study for it, how we practice it, not just doing it and then moving on and forgetting it, but really getting into it. That means that we're going to do the listening, your 6 multiple choice questions from an interview, but study the transcript to look at the answers and see what else we can learn from a complete transcript like that at a C1 level, the level that you are trying to be aiming for, hopefully. So here is our task, 6 questions, pause the video, play the audio, repeat it if you need to, because you can listen twice, and then in a minute we are going to go through all of the questions and answers and think about what we can learn from them. So you need to write 1 to 6, A, B, C, or D. You've done that. Listen, do that, and now we're moving on.
You will hear an interview in which 2 people, called Claire McBride and Sean Cale, are talking about training to run in a charity marathon. For questions 1 to 6, choose the answer A, B, C, or D, which fits best according to what you hear.
Today, I'm interviewing Claire McBride and Sean Cale, who both recently ran a marathon for the first time. Claire, what made you train for the marathon?
I decided to have a stab at it as a way of raising money for charity. I wasn't the sporty type who typically runs distances of 42 kilometres. The very idea made me shudder. When I've heard people making resolutions to turn over a new leaf at New Year, I've always been sceptical. So I assumed my resolve would wear off once I began training. I can't quite work out how I became that annoying person who'd arrive at work glowing with satisfaction at having run 10 kilometres to work. I relished those runs, and when I got into conversations with colleagues about nightmare commutes, I'd shrug my shoulders and say, "I'm so glad I run to work."
Sean, how was your marathon preparation? Did things go right for you?
Well, I'd always been an enthusiastic athlete and believed anyone with grit and enough preparation could do the marathon, but it was obvious I needed to have a clearly thought out training strategy. I already had a fair base fitness level, so I set out to bank some big distances early on. But I became conscious I'd underestimated the mental struggle. I'd failed to grasp how critical it was to find ways to spur myself on, to reach the number of kilometres that go into building up the necessary endurance without giving up. If I'd factored in ways to get over my resistance in the early stages, I'd have tackled the challenge more effectively.
Isn't injury a risk during marathon training?
Absolutely. One day I suddenly developed excruciating pains in my right thigh, so bad that abandoning the whole thing may have crossed my mind briefly. However, I headed off to a physio trainer who told me to take it easy for a week and refrain from running, and to do just light swimming. I was reluctant to disrupt the routine I'd got into, so I just carried on anyway, then fell ill with bronchitis. The hardest thing about marathon training is knowing how not to overdo it. Anyway, I was forced to rip up my schedule and set myself one based on being more in tune with my physical self.
How did it feel getting up to train on winter mornings?
Friends told me it'll be so lonely and miserable. I know there are visualization techniques to conquer negative feelings. You picture yourself racing along ahead of the pack, any image that'll induce you to get up and out. But then you confront the reality of heading out through the park in the darkness of a January dawn. There's hardly another runner to be seen. It's amazing what you find to focus on. The cooing of pigeons, the rustling of leaves, the crunch of trainers on gravel. Focusing on insignificant things enabled me to endure the monotony and the icy winds.
Was your running speed in the marathon a concern, Sean?
During my training, I tried some half marathons. Using my time for them, I tried to calculate my speed across the full distance using software. Of course, it's double the distance, stamina, everything, but the claim is that your performance on the marathon can be predicted based on other times and distances you run, assuming you make it to the end. Obviously, the fitter you are, the more you can hold on to your pace for longer. Using apps got me into the whole process of establishing targets. Within any gadget-based prediction, there's leeway, of course. It couldn't take into account anything that happened on race day or how I'd trained.
So, how was the experience on the day?
Running a marathon's a huge undertaking. Uplifting isn't the word. The weather was dreadful, but a massive crowd turned out and the applause ringing out on all sides was overwhelming. But there was also the hassle of locating my loyal friends and family. Despite agreeing a spot at the end of the route, exasperatingly, when I passed the finish line, they were nowhere to be seen among the endless spectators.
For me, it took time to sink in that I'd made it. During the race, I wondered if my body might let me down. My legs were like lead, and before the finish I tumbled, which wasn't how I'd envisioned things. Somehow I dragged myself up and staggered over the line, only to collapse in a heap, oblivious to the cheering and clapping. I gather people came to my rescue. I don't think anyone who hasn't tried it can fully appreciate what it feels like to achieve a goal like that.
Well, congratulations.
Here come the answers. So we have got question 1. How did you feel at the start? Well, the clue was she thought her resolve would wear off. She didn't think she'd be able to keep up the discipline, but she did become that annoying person running to work every day. She was amazed at her own self-discipline. The mistake that Sean made was failing to grasp how critical it was to spur himself on, which means he didn't understand the importance of motivation. So C. Now, what else can we learn from these little transcripts, these extracts? Well, it's time for some use of English part 3 because it's listening part 3. Hopefully you were paying attention when you read the transcript because these are all real word formation exercises, transformations that were in this C1 transcript. So we assume that the very intelligent people at Cambridge think that you should be able to understand these kind of words and manipulate these words at a C1 level. Pause the video, transform the word using the root so that it fits the sentence. Number 1, of course, we are talking about resolutions, New Year's resolutions to stop smoking and so on. Number 2, you are an enthusiastic person or athlete. And number 3, what do you need to build up? The noun from endure, which is a verb, is endurance. Typical C1 question. And it's on the C1 listening. Isn't that satisfying that we can learn our use of English from our listening? Okay, 3 and 4. What have you got for 3 and 4? After she got injured, what did she do? Ripped up her schedule and set herself a new one, which means she modified her plan. She changed it quite a lot, right? Because she's basically started a new training plan. And what does she think about training in the cold winter mornings? Well, it's difficult, but she focused on insignificant things, such as the birds that she talks about and all these things, the rustling of leaves, the crunch of trainers. So it's A, the sounds helped her to endure the monotony, to get through it, to get through that cold training in the morning. Are you paying attention to all these use of English words? Have you got your C1 mindset where you start seeing, excruciating from crucial? Like, not really, is it? But you see what I mean? You start to think about briefly, physiotherapy, physiology, trainer, training. You start thinking of all these things. And are you thinking of these? Pause the video, complete the gap using this word by transforming it, by forming a different word from this word. And number 1, the adjective is reluctant. I am reluctant. You show reluctance. And number 2, the darkness, an easy one. And number 3, we need a noun. Oh no, we need an adjective, don't we? We've got a verb, we need an adjective because it's things, focusing on what type of things. In this case, it's insignificant. If you said significant, I guess it kind of fits the sentence. But if we remember, it was insignificant. So that's the negative form that you've got for a bonus. Questions 5 and 6. What did Sean reveal about his speed? Well, the important thing when he talks about his speed is that measuring his speed got him into the process of establishing targets, wanting to finish the race in this time. He wanted to get a good time. So it's B. The A is a little distraction because he says, there's leeway, they're not perfect. But he doesn't really say that I have a lack of faith in it. He still uses it, and he uses it for setting a target. So it's B is the better answer. And their experience as a whole, well, the man had a bit of a problem meeting his friends and family, even though they agreed a spot. So they had a bit of a a mistake when something went wrong when they didn't expect it. And the woman didn't envision, didn't plan, didn't expect to be dead at the end of the race. So they were both a bit stressed as a result of unexpected issues. That's the one that fits both of them. Use of English part 3, pause the video. I'm going to tell you the answers. Number 1, the weather was adjective, dreadful. Number 2, we need an adverb, don't we? Between commas, like surprisingly and so on. And the adverb is, well, start with the adjective, exasperating, exasperatingly, meaning frustratingly. And number 3, there's a lot of people watching the race, spectators at a sporting event. There's so many that they never end. They are without an end. They are endless. Of course, a typical B2-C1 transformation there. Your task then is to go back through these transcripts, which I will put in the description, and find more of these use of English part 3 transformations, formations they're typically called, to get into that C1 mindset that I talked about, to learn more and to add to your notes, which you're keeping for use of English part 3, to become experts in the use of English and the listening at the same time. Hope that was useful. Goodbye.